Sometimes it seems like there will be no change to our circumstances or that there is no way out. But we serve a God who can turn anything and everything around. So let's get up on our feet and let's worship God together.
You are here, moving in our midst. I worship you, I worship you. You are here, working in this place. I worship you, I worship you. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. Whoa, waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are here, touching every heart. I worship you, I worship you. You are here, healing every heart. I worship you, I worship you. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. Whoa, waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are here, turning lives around. I worship you, I worship you. You are here, mending every heart. I worship you, I worship you. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. Whoa, waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. Whoa. Whoa. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. Sing it loud now. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. Whoa, waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. That is who you are. That is who you are. Yeah. Whatever the distance or darkness, you're with me, you're with me. Whenever I'm failing or falling, you've got me, you've got me. You won't let me down, never, never. In your love I'm found forever. Your love, it goes on and on. Forever is not too long. I believe it, I believe it. I'll never be too far gone. Forever I'm in your arms. I believe it, I believe it.
Do you know what kind of animal this is?
It's a kangaroo.
That is right. It hops up really high on these big feet. And a baby kangaroo is called a joey. Did you know that they're about the size of a lima bean when they're born?
Interesting. Okay, do you know what kind of house the baby kangaroo lives in? No? Okay, well, the baby kangaroo has to be like really close to its mother, right? So it lives in like this little pouch called the marsupium.
Marsupium. What
Yeah.
an unusual word, an unexpected place for a baby to live.
Okay, can you think of a time when you were really, really surprised? Okay, now maybe it was in a good way, maybe it was a bad way. Let's take a minute to think about it.
I remember a time that I got surprised, and it was a little bit of a good surprise, a little bit of a bad surprise. So I had plans to go hang out with my friends, but my mom wanted us to come, all of the siblings to come up and help us clean up the cottage. So we were going to be doing some work, pulling up carpets, painting, things where you'd get dirty. So I wore, all of my dirty clothes that are okay with getting dirty. So we're working hard, and then after, I'm like, okay, I gotta go. It's time for me to go hang out with my friends. My mom goes, wait, no, we're doing a little surprise party to celebrate everybody's graduation. And I was like, well, I love a party. I love a celebration. I'm very happy about this, but I have plans to go hang out with my friends. I want to go home and shower, change out of my dirty clothes. But my mom had made a cake. She got us gifts. It was a very nice. It's a nice gesture, but it just didn't work out very well. And I was dirty. I wasn't in the mood for it.
Yeah.
Good or bad, life has a way of throwing us the unexpected. And let's learn something unexpected about what happened to King David. What does everyone think? Was this going to be a good surprise or a bad surprise?
Good, bad, good, bad. All right, Elena, do you remember what the Ark of the Covenant was?
Yes, we learned about that last week. The Ark of the Covenant was the special gold box that had God's power around it.
That's right. Now, remember how happy King David was about getting it to Jerusalem? Do you remember what he did with all that happiness and joy that he was experiencing?
David danced around in his underwear like a crazy person. But once David finally took a break from all the partying and dancing, he sat down and he stopped and he thought to himself, hey, even though I live in this big fancy schmancy house, I'm the king, I'm living the luxurious life, but the Ark of the Covenant, the special box that has God's power all around it that's so special to me, it's in a tent.
Yeah. So David had a brilliant idea, or so he thought. He was like, I'm gonna build a house for God. I'm the king, I can build anything, right? It just made sense to him. King David had money, he had the power, he had the resources, and the ark needed a more special place to be, right? David had completely expected to just get right to work carrying out his plan to build a home for the Ark of the Covenant.
God loved David and was pleased with David's desire to build a house for the special place of the Ark of the Covenant. But one day, God sent a special message to David through a man called Nathan. And this message was so special because it was a promise from God.
You see, it wasn't part of God's plan for David to build that special house. God was actually going to use David's son to do it instead. And not only did God promise to see David's son through the project, but God also promised to make David's family, the leaders of Israel, forever. like all through David's, like all the way through David's children's, children, and so on. Now that was unexpected.
Let's watch a video to help us to remember that story. And pay close attention because you might learn something else unexpected about one of David's descendants.
God chose David to be the next king of Israel. King Saul had died, and God gave his people a time of peace. David lived in a beautiful palace in the city of Jerusalem. One day, David was talking with Nathan the prophet. David said, "I live in a palace of nice cedar wood, but the ark of God sits inside a tent. It hardly seemed fair. Shouldn't God have a nicer house than I do?" David wanted to build a temple for the ark of God. Nathan said, "God is with you, do what you want." But God did not want David to do whatever he wanted. God wanted David to do what God wanted. That night, God gave Nathan a message for David. This is what God told Nathan to say. "David, are you going to build a house for me to live in? I brought my people out of Egypt. I gave them leaders to guide them. The entire time I have been with them, my house has been a tent. Did I ever ask anyone to build a temple for me? You used to be a shepherd, David, but I made you king. I helped you defeat your enemies, and my people now live peacefully in their own land. I promise you, David, that you and your descendants will be kings. When you die, one of your sons will be king. He will be a strong king, and no one will be able to take his kingdom away from him. He will build a house for me. I will love him, and I will never leave him. When your son dies, his son will be king. Someone in your family will be king forever." Nathan told David everything God said. David went into the tent he had set up for the ark of the Lord. He sat down and prayed. "God, I don't deserve anything you have done for me, and you promised to do so much more. You are so great. There is no one like you. You chose the Israelites to be your own people. You rescued them from slavery in Egypt. God, please keep your promises. I know your words are always true." God promised David that every future king of Israel would come from David's family, and David's kingdom would last forever. God kept his promise by sending his son, Jesus, as one of David's descendants. Jesus is our king who will rule over God's people forever.
All right, I have another fun animal fact for all of you. Okay, did you know that sea otters sometimes hold hands while they are like floating or while they're sleeping, and they sleep on their backs, right? They do this because they don't want any of their other like sea otter friends to float away and get lost.
That's so cute. This week's big idea is God does unexpected things.
Hey, sorry I'm late. I just had to, what's this?
I don't know.
Welcome to Grow TV.
Welcome to Grow TV. Hosted by Carl. Where we have fun with our friends, talk about Jesus, and go over everything the Bible has to offer. Now once again, welcome to Grow TV.
Where in the world did this come from?
I'm not sure. He was here when I got here.
Unusual. It's not even my birthday. Dear Carl, you're doing a great job doing Grow TV. I think you're pretty fantastic. Wow, that's really nice. Should I see what's inside?
Why not?
All right. Oh my goodness. This is the most glorious thing I've ever seen.
That's pretty cool, Carl.
Hey, you need tape, Andy? Don't worry, I'll just grab it off my new Golden Dog tape dispenser. It's incredible. Best gift ever.
Anything else in the bag?
I don't know, let me see. Oh, I mean, it's just $500 in cash, but this tape dispenser, it's golden and it's a puppy.
That's totally you.
Yeah, I love it. But you know what?
What?
It makes me wonder, who gave this to me?
Yeah, I'm not sure, but you want to jump into today's story?
Totally. Can't wait. Where's it at?
2 Samuel chapter 7.
Are we still talking about King David?
We are. King David has a very busy and eventful life.
That's what I'm starting to realize. How lucky are we that we get to read all about it?
Very. Now, do you remember what we talked about last week?
Well, if I remember correctly, we were talking about how David and the Israelites brought the Ark of the Covenant back to the people.
That's right, and there was a lot of celebration.
Of course, having the Ark there meant that God's presence was always with them.
Absolutely. Now, having the Ark of the Covenant back meant David was thinking of it a lot, and he came up with a really good idea.
Chocolate fountain!
What?
Sorry, whenever I come up with a great idea, I just think of a chocolate fountain. Maybe some strawberries. Marshmallows. Using those little tiny kebab sticks to stick them in the chocolate. Oh, sorry, continue.
The great idea that David had was to build a temple.
A temple? That's it? What makes that so special?
Well, this temple wouldn't just be any temple. This temple would be built specifically for the Ark of the Covenant.
Oh wow, that makes total sense. I mean, the Ark is really special. It probably deserves its own space.
Yep, that's exactly what David thought, and God agreed.
Really? God thought it was a good idea too?
Yeah, God didn't need a fancy temple, really, but it would be a great place for people to come together and worship.
Wow, so they built a beautiful building so all of God's people can come and worship. What a perfect ending to a perfect story. What?
It's actually not the end of the story, Carl.
What are you talking about? They got the Ark, they built the temple, and a chocolate river is flowing down the middle.
No chocolate fountain.
Okay, well, I realized the temple wasn't perfect, but I mean, bam! Happy forever!
Well, God had a different plan.
Wait, you said God okayed the building of the temple.
I did, and God did, but it wasn't going to be David who built the temple. God said that it would be David's son.
Are you serious?
Absolutely. God knew that one day David's son Solomon would also become king, and he would build the temple at the right time.
I mean, I guess that's kind of neat, but I bet David was a little bummed.
Maybe, but he was thankful that God would give such an amazing honor to someone in his family. Even though he wouldn't get to be a part of it, it showed David that God would always be working through his family and taking care of everyone, even after his time as king was over.
Wow, I didn't think about it like that. I guess God always keeps us on our toes.
Yep, you got that right. God does unexpected things.
Yeah. Wait! That's our big idea! Our big idea today is God does unexpected things.
So let's say it loud on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
God does unexpected things! Yes! God does. Yeah, God does.
All right, all this talk of chocolate fountains has really got me hungry, Carl.
It would be pretty cool, right?
Cool? More like fantastic.
You got that right. Wait a minute. Fantastic? You just said fantastic. That was a word written in the note. Andy, did you give me this gift?
You got me.
Why didn't you tell me?
I just wanted to surprise you.
Well, thank you. That was very unexpected.
Well, you know what else was unexpected?
What?
This right here. How's it going? See you next week, kids.
Thank you for watching, and tune in next week for a new episode of Bro TV.
Have you ever wanted a particular gift, maybe for your birthday or something like that, and then ended up getting something completely, totally different? But then the thing that you ended up getting was actually so much better than what you originally wanted? Has that ever happened?
That's happened to me. I know one time for Christmas, we were hoping to, me and my sister, we wanted the dolls to play with, the Disney princess dolls, we wanted some movies to watch, and my parents actually said to us that we weren't getting any gifts for Christmas that year. We were really surprised. We were like, this is unusual. We usually got at least something, but my parents said there's gonna be no gifts this year because the only thing we're gonna give you is a trip to Disney World.
What?
Which is so much better than watching a movie to actually be able to go and meet the princesses and see all the characters and go on the rides. It was way better than anything we could have asked for.
That sounds super fun.
It was so fun.
Okay, didn't it feel great to get that unexpected gift?
Felt so great every minute of it.
Yeah. So I kind of imagine that that's how David felt when he received those amazing promises from God. God surprised David with the unexpected, and you know what? God can surprise us with unexpected things as well. And a lot of the times, God's things are so much better than what we could have ever even imagined.
That's true. Hey, Mariah, check out my pocket gadget. First things first, how many different tools do you think could fit inside something of this size?
None?
None.
That's so small.
Maybe a pair of tweezers or something.
Okay, yeah, tweezers.
But look at this. You unfold it, and you've got
What?
pliers. You've got a measuring
A ruler?
thing, a ruler. You can measure in inches and in centimeters. You got a knife, so you can cut up some food on the road.
Interesting.
What else we got? We got a nail file. We've got like a little tiny baby screwdriver for you to just unscrew things around the house or
That's
in your life.
cool.
There is everything that you could possibly need on this.
That thing's amazing.
It's so cool. And
I've-
it's so tiny. Look, wait, watch me fold it. Look how tiny.
That is really neat. It's kind of like how David was, super excited to just have the Ark of the Covenant in his city, right? He had no idea that God had even more wonderful things in store for him. Super cool.
If we follow and trust God, who knows what unexpected things and unexpected blessings might be in store for us? God does unexpected things.
All right, I want to read probably about 10 verses to you all from Psalm chapter 89. So I'm going to start at verse 20. I have found my servant David. I appointed him by pouring holy oil on him. Do you remember when we read about that a couple weeks ago? I will steady him with my hand. I will strengthen him with my arm. No enemy will make him give forced payments. Wicked people will not defeat him. I will crush his enemies in front of him. I will defeat those who hate him. My loyalty and love will be with him, though through me he will be strong. I will give him power over this sea and control over the rivers. Now I'm going to jump a couple verses down. I will make his family continue. His kingdom will last as long as the skies, but his descendants might reject my teachings and not follow my rules. They might break my laws and disobey my commands. But I'm going to jump down to verse 34. I will not break my agreement. I will not change what I have said. It is certain that I am a holy God, so it is certain that I will not lie to David. His family will continue forever. His kingdom will continue before me like the sun. It will last forever like the moon, like a lasting witness in the sky. Okay, so in this psalm, we read about how God promised a bunch of things to David. Like he would take care of David, but not just David. He was going to take care of his family. And if I were David, that would be amazing, and I would totally just dance around in my underwear. Oh wait, that's what David did.
In the animal kingdom, lions are commonly known as the king of the jungle. And interestingly enough, God is also referred to as a lion, the Lion of Judah. Do you think that has something to do with Jesus being a king?
Yes. King David was from the tribe of Judah. And did you know David is Jesus' great-great-great-great-great-grandfather? In the Bible, when a lot of people refer to Jesus, they call him the Son of David. Now, Jesus is the descendant of David, whose kingdom would last forever, just like God promised.
And through the life and death and resurrection of Jesus, we were invited to be a part of that promise that God made with David. Little old us, just regular old people. That's pretty unexpected, don't you think?
Definitely.
Well, we've got a box today. It's cracking open. I'm gonna seal this. It's got I don't know if you can see.
We want to let God out of the box.
No,
Yeah.
don't. So a thing that humans do, we shouldn't do, but sometimes we do it unintentionally, is put God in a box. And I don't mean like an actual box like this, like God, it's not just going to go in the box, but kind of like an imaginary box.
Yeah, and I mean, sometimes we even want to control where God is and what he's able to do. But that's not how God works at all. In ancient Israel, God's chosen people became so fixated on an object that represented God's promise, which is the Ark of the Covenant, and they totally forgot that God was so much more than just a box.
In our lesson today, David discovered that God's plan and blessings were far bigger than he could have ever expected. Having a limited view of God, God's power, God's glory, is really like trying to put God in a box.
Now, just quickly, can you think of a way that you might have unintentionally put God in a box? Like maybe you expected God to do things a certain way, the way that you wanted, but he did something totally different.
Let's remember that God's plans, God's power, and God's purposes are just so much bigger than any little box like this. Our God does unexpected things.
It's true. We are continuing to memorize a verse from Isaiah, and it says, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord." Let's watch how to say this verse in sign language.
Isaiah 55:8. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord.
Let's pray together. Dear God, thank you for the promise that you made to David, which was far better than what he had in mind. We are thankful that your promise includes all of us. Help us to remember that when you do unexpected things, you show us you love us and have the very best in store for us. Amen.
Amen. All right, make sure you check out www.crosslands.ca/kids. I forgot how to type in a website where you can find a bunch of fun activities. You can watch the Grow TV video again, have some fun with your family. And Elena and I will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.